Now here in Nigeria, a new investigation by BBC Africa Eye has exposed an ineffective and corrupt pension system which leaves some elderly people sick and penniless, yet grants some politicians outrageous retirement packages. Reporter YEMISI ADEGOKE travels to Cross River State to meet ghost pensioners, elderly people whom the state declared dead and deprived of their pensions. Some of them are forced to rely on financial support from their relatives and are subjected to dehumanizing treatment from the state officials for petitioning for their pensions to be reinstated. Joining us shortly is YEMISI ADEGOKE and Katie Mark to shed more light on the investigative piece. But first, an excerpt from the documentary.
Life is no money, no nothing, and I cannot do anything. Cannot take care of my family. Even my uncle, my aged mother is there. I cannot take care of her. Cannot take her to the hospital. So I am just like that, stranded.
You need to be screened to confirm that you are alive, you are not dead. We said, okay, we are ready. But by 2015, I was stroke-ridden, paralyzed on the right-hand side. Seeing me physically present before you is more than sufficient proof that this person is alive, is not dead. A dead man cannot be talking to you like that.
Well, joining us now is YEMISI ADEGOKE and Katie Mark to shed more light on the investigative piece. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Let me begin with you, YEMISI. Every reporter has an objective set before embarking on a story. I'd like to ask you, what was the objective? What does the BBC aim to achieve with this investigative report?
Well, we were approached by Abaji Akpet, who is a local reporter from Cross River State. He brought this story to us and told us about issues within the pension system. His mother was impacted, her pension was delayed, and he wanted us to look into it, so we did. What we hope is to get some answers, first of all, for these pensioners. We did, file right of replies to the people that were the officials that appeared in the film. We would like to get some sort of response. We'd like to find out why this is happening, why so many pensioners are struggling to access money that they're owed. And ultimately, we hope that this leads to a bigger conversation about corruption within the pensions system and for more to be done.
Okay, well, I'll have to throw this question to both of you, YEMISI and Katie. I watched the documentary piece, and as shocking as some of the findings were there any surprises for you on this journey?
I think the number of ghost pensioners, I mean, people know that there are fictitious people put on lists and they're declared dead. But what we uncovered in Cross River State was hundreds, maybe up to 1,000 ghost pensioners that were put on this list. And the amount of time, how hard it is to prove that they are alive. One woman had been waiting for 2 years to get a pension. We went up to a village, and in a day we were able to verify these people, ID cards, voter registration cards, bank account records. So there should be no reason that it's taken 2 years for people to be verified. That, and also the kind of outrageous packages that politicians get, because they are really huge, and we don't always know about them because they're hard to find out. They're not made public, but these retirement packages that are given to governors are quite extensive.
Okay, and
I would agree with Katie. Yeah, I would agree with Katie. I mean, seeing the ghost pensioners, it was not a complicated journey for us to find. I think also what I found quite shocking was, even though I knew that this kind of thing had been happening, I think, especially because Nigerian culture prides itself on revering elderly people, it prides itself on uplifting elders and taking care of them, and seeing the way that these people have been treated. You see the full documentary and you see, Mrs. Ewa, some of the intimidation tactics, the harassment that these elderly people are facing solely because they want to get the money that's owed to them was quite outrageous for me.
I think quite a number of people can attest to the longevity of this issue that you're highlighting today. But what's been the reaction from Cross River State, within the government and outside of the government, since this report, YEMISI?
We are yet to hear from Cross River State. Throughout the production, we tried multiple times to reach the officials in the film and to get comment from the state government. We have not had any. We are looking forward to hearing a response from them, but as of yet, we've had no comment from them.
Okay. Again, I'll take this to Katie, actually. What comes to mind for some people watching this is the Sex for Grades expose. I want you to comment on what you feel could be the deterrence effect of possibly knowing that going forward there could be people with hidden cameras, when next they meet an official, and whether you're considering perhaps if you've done several exposes, the Sex for Grades was done in Ghana and done in Nigeria, maybe if you went to several states, could that have had an amplified effect?
So we chose, I'll start with the last question first. We chose Cross River because, as Yemi said, it was brought to us and that was where we had the first example. And as we had one example, as we started to research, we just found so many cases, more and more cases coming up. And when we were in the research stage, we were looking at cases all over Nigeria. So it wasn't just in Cross River, but we chose to use one state as an example to show what is happening in wider issue in the country. I think it was effective for us to do it in one state because it shows the amount of people, right? Instead of like one person here, one person there. But this is not something that's just confined to Cross River State. It's happening everywhere. We have had, the feedback since it's come back is that so many people know somebody that this is happening to. It's been talked about across the country, so it's not just in Cross River. And we hope that it will start a conversation across the country, not just in Cross River, because it's not a state issue; it's a nationwide issue.
And YEMISI, let me speak to you about this report. We understand this was 5 months of investigation, and even though a lot of us can attest that this is not a new issue, what were some of the challenges you had to face in bringing this report to the people? Talk us through some of the difficulties that was involved here.
Well, I mean, the first one, as we all know, we're in the middle of a COVID-19 pandemic. So that was the challenge number one, trying to make sure that we were all being safe. The people that we were speaking to are elderly, so they're more vulnerable. So making sure that they were okay, making sure that we were okay. Other than that, I think we had a strong story from the outset. We did our research and it all kind of came together. But, ensuring the welfare of ourselves and our contributors is paramount, still is. We're still in touch with, the people that we interviewed in the film and, hopeful that this will help us get them some answers.
Yeah. Well,
sorry, if you just to add to that.
Sure. Katie, go ahead.
We found it really difficult, actually, to get official answers. Oh,
official comment, yes.
Yeah, why is it happening? Why is the money being stopped? We couldn't find out where the money was going. They were never given any reason as to why they were suddenly one day put on a list, declaring them dead, when for years they'd been receiving the pension. And if that was the case, why not notify them? It was just they woke up one morning and suddenly they were dead. What criteria were they using to say these people were ghost pensioners suddenly when yesterday they were normal pensioners?
Mm-hmm. And I think, just to get off the back of that as well, just anything to get any kind of official comment was extremely difficult. And we tried very, very hard because we wanted their input. We wanted answers from them, but they were not forthcoming. So we're still waiting.
Katie, I'd asked YEMISI earlier about the reactions from within and outside the government. And I'd like to throw that to you because we just saw an excerpt of the documentary playing with the exposed individual for wrongdoing who was accepting some bribe to ensure people are paid their entitlements. So what has been the overall reaction, either from the people you spoke to in the course of this documentary, or even those who were caught on camera? Have they reached out to you?
So the woman that was caught on camera hasn't yet responded. I understand there should be a response and we're looking forward to a response. So those that were on the documentary, they wanted to come forward and they wanted to speak because people often don't hear pensioners, they're old and people often don't think it's their problem because it's something that's going to happen in a long time. So these pensioners, I think, were happy to have a voice and happy to have a chance to be able to say their story. And they felt like people weren't really listening. So we were happy to kind of be able to report on a group of people that aren't normally reported. And they seem happy because it's something they've wanted to say, I mean, if you've been waiting for 2 years trying to prove you're alive to get your pension and no one's listening, and someone comes along and says, yeah, tell us a story, I think they've been overall pretty happy with it. Yeah.
Okay, well, Katie, I'll continue with you. What hopes do you have beyond the expose? Because I could see that you collaborated with Serap, and it was a welcome development because he brought some issues to the table, which with regards to electronic registration. So what hopes do you have springing from this going forward?
Yeah, so apart from that, we hope that it starts a conversation. You're right about Serap in that we, he put some solutions down in terms of like, yeah, if we had electronic screening, you wouldn't have to travel miles. Why should you have to travel long distances to Calabar? We are in a digital age. Everything should be digital, and you can see in these offices they're not even computers in there. So you can reform the system. And then the other thing that Serap are doing are trying to find out through the law how much governors earn. These are laws that should be public, and they're very hard to find. They're not public. We should know how much each of our states is paying ex-governors. So maybe, I don't know, like hopefully that will become more visible. But generally to start a conversation and to get some answers, like Yemi said, from the people in power as to why this is happening.
And very quickly, I think YEMISI will take this, or both of you can, but let me begin with YEMISI. Are there other documentaries in the works and any room for partnerships?
Africa Eye is always watching, so there's always something in the works, and we're always open to hearing from people. If there are stories that you want us to investigate, you can find us on social media. There's BBC Africa's handle, my handle, Katie's handle. We're always interested in bringing these sorts of stories to light. So yeah, we're open.
Katie, you want to chip in anything there?
I think Yemi said it all. Like, we are always trying to hold power to account, and just because we want what's best for our country, right? And all across Africa. So yeah, any time we can do that, we will try and do that. Anytime we can investigate something, we're always open, and we're running. So we're looking for stories.
Exactly.
Well, YEMISI and Katie, thank you so much, and congratulations. Great job on this documentary you have just released.